Uh,
Okay, good morning. Okay, to government bench speakers, may I know who is the governor reply? Can you please rename according? Okay, put GR as well. And then for the SMK Baru, okay, as the opposition bench, can you please rename according to your role as well? Katerina, good morning. And Noaina, can you please rename according to your role? You put, if you are Deputy Leader of Opposition, please put DLO at the front. If you are Opposition Whip, just put OW and your name. Good morning. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, welcome to first preliminary round of the Tan Sri Dr. Sri Panglima, Dr. Abdurrahman Ashad Virtual English Language Debate Competition 2022, jointly presented to you, PPD Bintulu and SMK Bintulu. I am Madam Chin Seo Hum, and I will be the Speaker of the House, and Madam Patricia will be the timekeeper for this room. The motion for this round is, this House believes that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. Before we proceed, I would like to remind the debaters of both teams on some rules and guidelines to observe in the course of debate. Okay, here are general rules for the debate. The first, second, and third speaker of each side will be given 8 minutes to speak. For the reply speech, the speaker is given 4 minutes to deliver the speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once after the first minute and the end of the 7 minutes to signal the time allocated for point of information. At the end of the 8 minutes, the bell will be rung twice. Point of information can only be offered after the first minute and before the 7th minute of the opponent's speech. A maximum time of 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for the reply speech. During the reply speech, the timekeeper will ring the bell once at the 3rd minute to signal that the debater has 1 minute left. At the end of the 4th minute, the bell will be rung twice to signal the end of the reply speech. Okay, now I'm going to talk about contingency in case of disconnection. Okay, you're advised to be aware of the following conditions regarding disconnection. For the first disconnection, the timer will be stopped from the last word heard by the adjudicator. The timer will only resume once you have returned to the room. Okay, for the subsequent disconnections, the timer will continue running while you are disconnected. If you experience a prolonged disconnection, the adjudicator may act on the issue. He or she could end your speech before you reconnect or instruct one of your team members to continue your speech. Here, a reminder to debaters, make sure you mute your microphone if you are not speaking. To reserve debaters, okay, please mute your microphone and turn off your camera all the time. Okay, thank you for your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor, before we begin, okay, let me introduce to you our panel of adjudicators for today's debate. The chief adjudicator is Fionisa Anabiden from SMK Bintulu. Okay, next we have Asra Binti Muhammad Amin from SMK Banda. And last but not least is Isa Jillian Anak Nelson from SMK Kidorong. On behalf of the House, I extend a warm welcome to all our adjudicators. Okay, now let's invite the government bench for SMK Kemenang and opposition bench from SMK Baru to introduce themselves. Let's begin with the government bench.
Hello, I'm Nur Afika from SMK Kemenang as the first speaker of the government team.
Hello, I'm the second speaker of the government team from SMK Kemenang.
Hello, I'm Azhad Irfan from SMK Kemenang. I am the third speaker of the government team.
Okay, next we have the opposition bench.
Hi, I'm Ainin and I am the opposition leader of the opposition team.
Hello, I'm Aina Rasida and I am the second speaker of the opposition team.
Hi, I am Katerina Anamaja and I am the third speaker of opposition team.
Thank you. For the government bench, okay, may I know who will be giving the reply speech?
Me, Liana, will deliver the reply speech.
About opposition bench,
I will be delivering the reply speech.
all right, thank you. Okay. Without further ado, I call this House to order on the motion. This House believes that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's invite the Prime Minister to begin her speech.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to the respected speaker, cautious timekeeper, honorable judges, members of the opposite team and members of the floor. Before I put forward my case today, I would like to define today's motion. This House believes that parents should be punished if their child make a mistake. According to the Dictionary of Contemporary English published in 2003, parents means the father or mother of a person. Punish it means to make someone suffer because they have done something wrong or broken the law. Child means a son or daughter of any age. Mistake means something you can do is defined as mistake means something you do that is not sensible or has caused a bad result. In short, our motion today is defined as the parents are to be blamed if the child commits crime, such as larceny, vandalism, assaults, drug and alcohol offences, truancy to the name of a few. Today, I am Nur Afika, as the first speaker of the government team, strongly believe with the motion. This House believes that parents should be punished if the child makes mistakes. Today, I will be the first speaker of the government team and will present one argument. Liana, as the second speaker, will give two arguments, and Azahar Ifan will read all the arguments presented by the opposition team. Today, we as the government team strongly believe with the motions. This House believes that parents should be punished if the child makes a mistake. Let me set the tone of debate by giving a recent case of Wasika Laja. A total of 8 children are dead because they were cycling on wee hours of the day. This tragic accident is a lesson on how all parents should care for their children and the need for good adults, role models to enforce order and discipline in children's lives. All parents are at least morally obliged to look after and protect their children to the best of their ability. Had it been a case of the children sneaking out without the parents' knowledge, it might still have been some excuse in their favor. But by all accounts, at least some of the parents knew of their children's dangerous hobby, yet relented to their children's desire. When child misbehave a lot of time, its behavior they learn at home. Home and from the parents is the first place of learning. Learning begins at such a young age that you won't even notice a child might be picking up behavior patterns. Even at 6 months old, children are learning these patterns. They see it in their surroundings. Stepping back. To get a better view, children are not equipped with experience or wisdom to understand long-term consequences of their actions. Children are very much in the moment in their life experiences. People often assume children are in possession of skills, wisdom, and intention. So, parents should start more in teaching the responsibility. Without that intervention, children for their own actions. But we cannot deny that parents must be held responsible
Oh, Figa? Okay, turn your mic on.
Stepping back to get a better view, children are not equipped with experience or wisdom to understand long-term consequences of their action. Children are very much in the moment in their life experiences. People often assume children are in possession of skills, wisdom, and intention that they do not factually have. So, parents should start small in teaching children responsibility. Without that intervention, children are most likely ended up in bad companies and do crimes. It is easier for people to blame their action on others than to take responsibilities for their own actions. But we cannot deny that parents must be held responsible for whatever the crimes that their children commits. This brings me to my first argument. Parents should educate children when they are young. It is obvious with the idiom, strike while the iron is hot. Without proper upbringing, it is obviously the parents' fault. Let us look into the eye of the law. There is a Child Neglect Act in Malaysia. In Malaysia, the liability of parents who fail to maintain his child is provided in Section 31(4) of the Child Act 2001, hereafter referred to as Act 611 and 11 as follows. Chapter 4 of the Act. A parent, a guardian, or other person legally liable to maintain a child shall be deemed to have neglected him in a manner likely to cause him physical or emotional injury. Being able to so provide from his own resources, he fails to provide adequate food, clothing, medical or dental treatments,
Your eye.
lodging for the child. Yes, please.
What if those parents have taught their children perfectly, but their children still misbehaves and they still give them the proper care, but the child still misbehaves?
Child, or in other words, an immaturity. I will answer that in my. I will answer that in the end of my speech. Okay. A parent or guardian or other person legally liable to maintain a child shall be deemed to have neglected him in a manner likely to cause medical or dental treatment, lodging, or care for the child. Parents have a duty, both legally and morally, to maintain their children apart from imposing of duty to maintain their children. The law also imposes for the failure to do so. Also, a child is entitled to maintain from his parents until the child attains at the age of 18 years old. I will answer my POI. A child, or in other words, an immature or irresponsible person, tends to make mistakes. That's why a good parenting is needed. The proper role of the parent is to provide encouragement, support, and access to activities that enable the child to master key development tasks. A child's learning and socialization are most influenced by their family, since the family is the child's primary social group. Happy parents raise happy children. As parents, they have full responsibility to raise their children into law-abiding citizens. One factor of our personality is a reflection from where we come from. In events that a child commits crime and investigation prove a parental negligence, that parents should be also liable for the crime. For example, if a child steals, breaks, or vandalizes, the parents are responsible to pay for the damage. To avoid this, parents can do parenting 101 weeks early, not until it's too late. My conclusion is charity begins at home. Children only imitate their parents. No parent should feel excusable for the influence in that behavior. Once again, before I rest my case, I would like to stress that parents should be punished if their child made a mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Prime Minister for the speech. The speaker spoke for 8 minutes and 22 seconds. Okay, now member of the floor. Okay, let's invite the leader of opposition to begin her speech.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I will start in 3, 2, 1. A very good morning I bid to the panel of adjudicator, the wise timekeeper, honorable judges, and the fellow members of the opposition team and members of the floor. The motion today is this House believes that their parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. So to begin with, I will give our team line that we, as the opposition team, strongly disagree that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake due to responsibility, irrelevance, and consequence of shifting blame. Today, our first argument will be provided by me under the key phrase of responsibility. My second speaker will be presenting our second argument under the key phrase of irrelevance, and also our third argument under the key phrase of consequence of shifting blame. Last but not least, my third speaker will do the rebuttals. Before I'm moving on to my first argument, I'm going to rebut the first argument given by the Prime Minister and the first speaker of the government team. First of all, we are not totally agree with the definitions given by the government team. The government team has said that a child is a young human being of the age of puberty. As the opposition team, the definition of a child is son or daughter of any ages. Other than that, the first speaker of the government team has stated about the bicycleta or modified bicycle case. Parents are not the only one to blame here. The children were around 12 to 16 years old, where they are matured enough to think rationally and logically. She also said that parents should take responsibility for whatever the children do. This will cause the children do not learn from the consequences. Rejected. Now I'll be presenting our first argument that a child should be responsible for his or her action. Responsibility reflects itself as someone supposedly to be accountable or to be blamed for an offense. Although a child is still in parental guidance, it doesn't mean he or she just depends on their parents. Somehow, some children still cannot accept the reality on what they did at the past, as they might do it again anytime in the future. According to some parents, children do not realize their mistakes unless they are the one to be punished. This sounds cruel, but as for reality, we should take an action before it's too late. I strongly believe that parents have taught their children about basic awareness since young. Why don't children apply it as a guidance? We all agree that values have been inculcated in a child since young. On the contrary, there is no such a reason why children cannot be disciplined and responsible at the same time. This demonstrates that a child is used to be exposed by values regardless of a person or at a specific place. Talking about place, let me give you an evidence on how important a child's responsibility without any parents by his on her side. Parents usually send your child to go to school to study. Accepted?
Your eye, please.
Yes.
Children see, children learn. This is the main reason why children commit big mistakes. Parents are the one who causes this. They should be punished.
Okay, I am talking about school. So why are you shifting the blame here? Meanwhile, the parents are not allowed to be accompany them in the school. So moving on, you might be thinking of the teachers to be blamed, but is that how it works? It's totally wrong. For example, we assume that teachers are the one who give the punishment and to call the parents instantly if their children do something wrong. Nothing has to do with the parents since they are not allowed to accompany their child at school. One of the common mistakes that a child can do is not doing their homework and lying to their parents. In addition, they go to school to be taught by the school teachers, including values. What they should be focusing on at school is to be disciplined and obeying the rules. Children should set in mind about their responsibility and always train themselves by applying the values as a guidance, or else they are unable to discipline themselves. Typically for young children, they are still quite new to the world around, which means they are at a phase of trying and learning new things. This will undeniably lead to a young children making more mischief out of curiosity of the outcome. Every month, an average of 315 children and teenagers are detected involved in drug cases in our country. According to statistics from the National Anti-Drug Agency of Malaysia, 3 years from 2018 and to last June of 2020, cumulatively, a total of 9,458 primary to secondary school students aged 12 to 17 years old were stuck with these unhealthy symptoms. Hence, it's no secret that teens break the law thinking they're basically invincible. They engage in underage drinking, vandalism, also possession, and under influence of drugs. But then, some young people commit much bigger crimes, felony, such as breaking and entering into a house, grand theft auto, even murder and rape. Children of all ages are capable of breaking the law, but it can be speculated that adolescents tend to break the law more. Unfortunately, teens in America engage in some pretty risky behavior in their middle and high school years. And unfortunately, this crime has severe consequences that last a lifetime. While these minors are often taught as a children simply making mistakes, they are still rational, mostly reasonable human beings who knowing exactly what they are doing. Therefore, their mistakes should not make their parents responsible. So to sum up my example that has been stated so far, I want to emphasize that responsibility as a child is important, especially when you do something wrong or misconduct. Without responsibility, children are not be able to improve themselves to be better, or else they don't realize their mistake until they step into someone's shoes who is not supposed to be blamed at all. Nevertheless, it is true that a child should be punished for misconduct, and it is a part of child's responsibility. It is because responsibility leads someone to do something more properly. So, the more you are responsible, the less you make mistakes, but we have to learn from the past mistake. On the other hand, despite even if the offense is serious, it is useless if someone else bears the offense instead of the one who is obviously does it. A child who is not mentally ill when making a mistake should not be granted impunity. On the whole, I want to reaffirm our team line that we, as the opposition team, strongly disagree with the motion that parents should not be punished if their child makes a mistake due to responsibility, irrelevance, and consequence of shifting blame. With that, I beg to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, the Leader of Opposition, for the 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, member of the floor, okay, we are going to continue. Now let's invite the Deputy Prime Minister to begin his speech.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the chairperson, timekeeper, members of the opposition team, judges, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the second speaker for the government team, and I will be continuing my team's case today. Our team strongly agree with this statement, which is this house believes that parents should be punished if the child makes a mistake. I agree with the definition given by the opposition. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to repeat the points laid out by the opposition. The first speaker of the opposition team said that children actually do not realize the mistake, and parents have taught that a child have a civic awareness. Now, the first speaker from our team stated parents should educate their children when they are young, perfect with the idiom, strike while the iron is hot. I would still stand firm on this argument. Teaching should begin with thorough instruction in table manners, spiritual and moral values. It is the primary responsibility of parents to see that a child understands exactly what is expected of him and her in the society. Parents are the people who should be responsible if the children turn bad. The second argument of my team, bad parenting is the main reason why children do delinquency. Effective parenting has never been as important as in today's family setup. Effective parenting. Moreover, this notion stems from the effective and Proper parenting goes a long way into shaping how the children will behave in the future and affect the persons and society around them. Let's look at an example of bad parenting. Lack of parental supervision and lack of parent-child involvement are consistent indicators of children's and delinquent behavior. Parenting that features inconsistent, incoherent, overly punitive, or too permissive methods of discipline also increase the risk of children's delinquency. Besides, the children
Your
between a
eye.
parent.
Okay. How about the parents that educated them well, but the children is rebellious child type? What do you say?
I will answer that at the end of my speech. Now let me continue my speech. Most parents have failed to establish close relations with their children. For many years in life, children are strongly under the influence of their parents. They develop concepts in mind about life by viewing their parents' behavior. For example, if someone knocks at the door asking for some help, and when the child interacts with father that someone is there, the father uprightly tells the child that he is not available. So, a child develops a concept in mind that lying is not a wrong action. If they speak lies, they think they can get maximum work done from others. This is why parents should be punished when the child commits crimes. The reason is simple. Parents are the most which shape the child. First, they teach child to lie, then do the untoward, bully the weak, steal from others, or even hurt another child. Just imagine how these children will grow up to be a famous
Your eye.
gamer, or a famous singer.
Your eye.
Yes.
You said that punishing the parents can help the child learn, but can you actually explain on how, if the parents lie, how does punishing the parents make the children learn? You are actually shifting the blame here.
Children see and children learn. This is the main reason why children commit a crime. Parents are the one who causes this. They should be punished. I hope they will answer your question. Bad parenting makes a child more prone to criminal behaviors. Neglected children and those who are exposed to abuse are more likely to prosecute by juvenile delinquency. Other common effects of bad parenting include failure to thrive and poor growth and development for the children both physically and mentally. Parents are not to be spared if the parents fail to the upbringing to the children. Parents should be punishable by law if the children commit crimes at the tender age of before 18
Your
years
eye.
old.
Okay. What about children who are orphans? Are you saying that we should blame the dead parents?
I will answer that at the end of my speech also. For the members of the hall here, I would like just to mention the third argument of my team, that is breakdown of family bonds. Children will most certainly suffer from behavior disorders if their parents do not spend enough time with them. The opposition pointed out that children actually do not realize the mistake, and moreover, the parents have taught their children a civic awareness. Lack of conversation may lead to erosion of family values, such as empathy, shared hobbies, love, and accommodation. When parents and children start leading separate lives, lots of secrets are left untold, leading to damaged relationships in the family. Kids totally depends on friends for trust, which is not a bad thing in itself, but this leaves with no realization of what a family truly comprises. This may also lead to confidence in strangers who may take advantage of such a child's vulnerable position. Most families spend just 8 hours of a week together on average, whereas a weekend will consist of a minimum of 2 hours devoted to children. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, allow me to make a conclusion, reaffirm and clearly right in saying that parents are most often the culprit. They should be punished if their children commit crime. We, the government team, strongly stand that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. For now, parents should spend time with their children because it can reduce the probability of developing delinquent behavior amongst children. With that, thank you. I will answer the POI. No, I don't think so. I will just pass the question to my third speaker. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, ask the question to the first speaker. So she start at 7.
Thank you. The Deputy Prime Minister. The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Okay, to continue our debate today, let's invite the Leader of the Opposition to deliver her speech.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. A very good morning. I bid to the panel of adjudicators, the wise timekeepers, my worthy opponents, and the members of the floor. I, as the second speaker of the opposition team, will present my 2 points under the key phrases of irrelevance and consequences of shifting blame. I would like to make it clear that we, the opposition team, strongly disagree with today's motion that parents should be punished for a child's mistake. Before I continue with my speech, I would like to rebut all the points from the second speaker of the government team. The second speaker of the government team tried to say that bad parenting can lead to the parents being punished. But in this case, they mentioned about overly punishing, but this is not parenting. This is actually abuse, and it is irrelevant to parenting. And another thing that they said, by punishing the parents, the children will learn. But how exactly will the children learn if the parents are punished? They only witness the punishment, but did they really learn the lesson behind the parents' mistake or their own mistake? Now, let me move on to my speech. Today, parents should not be punished for a child's mistake. Why? Because it has nothing to do with the parents. Parents should not be held liable for all their child's actions. Some parents have to work extra hours just to make ends meet. Should they be held responsible for a mistake that their child made while they are still working? With both parents working, it's more affordable for most of the households. Thus, there is more money in hand for the parents to spend on their children for their education and other needs. So, if a child gets in trouble, of course it's easy to blame the parents, attribute the mishap to how they were raised, the kind of family they were born to. However, this exact mindset accepted.
Tangi, parents are not responsible for your well-being. My dear opposition team, prove me that. Thank you.
We do not say that the parents are not responsible for our well-being, but they are not responsible for our own choices that we are aware ourselves. Thank you. If a child gets in trouble, of course, as I said, it's easy to blame the parents. However, this mindset will impact the future generation of adults, a future where no one wants to be responsible or is responsible for their own mistakes and never being accountable for anything. They just blame it on someone else. This proves that not only it affects the parents negatively, it gives the same effect to a child's future. All it does is condition someone that they are not going to face consequences when they do something wrong. Why is that detrimental? Accepted.
I believe with proper upbringing, no child will commit mistakes. That is, obvious researchers done that the child will affected by their upbringing environment, and most often than not, parents are the main culprit.
Okay. You said proper upbringing, am I correct? So, how about in the situation where the parents are actually good parents, but that child failed to follow into their footsteps? They still became rebellious despite all the good parenting that the parents have gave them. How do you explain that situation? Do you still blame the parents? Let me move on. Why is this detrimental? Because a person gets a pretty rough reality check as an adult when they have to face their own consequences alone without being able to get away with it, because at this point, their parents surely aren't even in the picture. Only the child or teen or adult should be punished for their own mistakes. I would like to move on to our second key phrase, which is consequences of shifting blame. Dear members of the floor, today's motion is encouraging children to blame other people for the mistakes that they do. Children become irresponsible, thinking that they can get away with it because there's someone else to blame when they make a mistake. Many people attempt to commit a crime because they think they can get away with it. The same goes for children committing a crime or making a mistake. They do it while being fully aware of it most of the time because they anticipate with getting away with it. Many countries are starting to practice the mindset where the parents should not be blamed for the child's mistake. One of the countries is Singapore, which is proved by a case involving a 33-year-old man, Nagandran, who was executed recently for a case that happened 13 years ago, which will make him approximately 20 years old when he did it. He was convicted for smuggling 47.72 grams of heroin despite having an IQ of 69. He was fully aware of what he was doing. And I repeat, he was fully aware. So, in this situation, do you think blaming the parents is fair? He was aware of what he was doing, but he did it anyway. So is it clear? It is very clear that parents should not be punished and blamed for what he was doing. Children nowadays are becoming more and more dishonest and are eventually growing up to be criminals. The blame on children's mistakes nowadays is going on to the parents, mostly under the statement failing to exercise reasonable care, supervision, protection, and control over children, as said in Parental Responsibility Laws 1994. However, many of the mistakes children are committing are almost unrelated to their parents and the way their parents raised them. Many other factors, however, may explain these actions or mistakes that the children are committing or did, such as outside influences like TV, peers, or internet, age, biological influences, being independent and responsible, as well as ethical. Therefore, deducing that this has nothing to do with the parents, parents should not be punished for what their child did. Accepted.
The time spent with parents are more than the time we spend elsewhere. We cannot put the blame on anyone else except the parents.
How can you prove that the lack of time spent with parents can lead to the parents being punished for the child's mistake? Even if the parents are caring and still spend their time with their children, what if that child is still rebellious? How do you explain that? Then we move on to our conclusion, which is we all make mistakes. And many of us, even on accident, make mistakes. And when people make these mistakes, they will get called out for it. The same goes for children, mostly adolescents. They generally know what they are doing wrong. So they should always be held responsible for their actions, no matter the age, and not their parents. I repeat, not their parents. The same, of course, applies to teenagers. In a situation where children make a mistake or where teenagers make a mistake and it involves crime, their parents should never be held responsible unless the parents assisted in the crime. At the end of the day, we want children to learn from their mistakes themselves. It's time to hold young people responsible for their actions for a better future. Before I end my speech, I would like to reaffirm our team line that we as the opposition team strongly disagree with today's motion. With that, I oppose.
Thank you, Deputy Leader of Opposition, for the speech. It is Speaker Spot 4, 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Am I audible?
Sorry. Okay, please wait for a minute. Huh? Okay, so members of the floor, next, can let us invite the government whip.
Okay. Hello? Okay. I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the respected speaker, timekeeper, members of the opposition team, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen. I, Azhar Irfan, am the third speaker of the government team. I've been given a duty to rebut the argument. Let me re-emphasize that our team agreed that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. Before I continue with the argument, let me answer the past POIs. My answer will be, parents should be more patient and committed to raise a child in order to make them grow into a more acceptable society, the members of society. Okay. The first and second speaker of the opposition team points out that children are mature enough to think for themselves. Children make mistakes. Children mistakes has nothing to do with the parents, and children should be held responsible for their own mistakes. Responsible for their own mistakes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what are today's debate is? This house believes that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. What are the opposing points have to do with today's motion? Well, I disagree with those points because first, children are still young and yet to have a concept of consequences. Second, children who are often resort to violence are generally under-supervised by the parents. And finally, children are easily succumb to their emotions because they are never taught self-control. Strike while the iron is hot is an idiom our team would like to use as it is means to take advantage when the opportunity arises. It is best described that parents should teach their child moral values at the tender age of 10. Moral value is an important asset of a foundation and shape a child's moral beliefs. Because of this, it is their responsibility to teach their child moral values, and if not, the child will go rogue. It is also worth mentioning that children under the age of 10 cannot commit a crime in Malaysia. This is because the law gives them complete immunity under the Section 82 of the Penal Code. Quote, nothing is an offense which is done by a child under the age of 10. End of quote. Quote. Next, moving on to...
POI,
Yes?
you said that children under the age of 10 are granted complete immunity.
Yes, correct.
Am I correct?
Yep.
But there is a law, Child Act 2001, where children under the age of 10 are still accountable for their actions. There's a special court for this.
And yes, one. Oh yes. Let me state it that. Okay, wait. Let me answer this POI at the end of my argument. Okay. Next, moving on to reinforcing my Deputy Prime Minister point, which are about bad parenting and breakdown of family bonds. Parents play a very vital role in their children's development. Children are very easily influenced by the parents, and their behavior is a reflection to their parents in a way. So parents must be committed to building a strong relationship with their children, and actively contribute to building their child's self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-discipline. Parents should also make use of the authority over their child in order to guide them rightfully. However, parents should not abuse this power in a coercive manner, as this will be considered child abuse. My audience, before I raise my case, answering the POI before, I would like to rebut that parents who fail to educate their children will be facing harsher laws in the court and section. This law is used to criminalize poor parenting skills.
POI?
Yes,
POI? Okay. If punishments goes to the parents, may I ask you, when and how will the child learn?
well, the child learn from the parents. When the parents learn what their mistakes are in their parenting, then they can they can raise their children in a better way and more effectively. Okay, to continue, children. I would like to rebut that parents who fail to educate their children will be facing harsher laws sanctioned from the courts. This law is used to criminalize poor parenting skills as mean to containing violence by children, which is called parental responsibility law and has existed since 1903. Finally, I would like to re-emphasize to everyone that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Government Whip. The speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, now let's invite the opposition whip to deliver her speech.
Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. A very good morning I bid to the adjudicators, the wise timekeepers, fellow opposition, and the members of the floor. I, as a third speaker, will rebut all of the points that government team has given. I have 3 points that government team has given for today's motions. On the first point, the first speakers of government team state about the case bicycle laja or modified bicycle. They are being influenced by their fellow peers. Why do we need to blame the parents? It's their decisions. And parents are not the only one to blame in here. They are influenced by the fellow peers. The children, when around 12 to 16 years old, were they already mature and enough to think logically and mature. She also said the parent should take responsibility for whatever the children do. Because the children do not learn from the consequence. The second point for today is from the second government team. The second point is the government team state about bad parenting. Okay.
Parents are the one who provide a stepping stone for the child into the future. If the stepping stone is bad, then parents are to be blamed.
Can you repeat your question, your POI?
Was stepping.
Can you repeat your POI?
Parents are the one who provide a stepping stone for their children into their future. If the stepping stone is a bad one, then parents are to be blamed.
How about the environment that influence the child? The parents are good enough to think and they educated the child. I hope that answer your question. Let me move on. The second speaker state about bad parenting. How can they learn? The bad parenting is the harsh parenting, which conclude the abuse one. According to Malaysian laws and policies, the definition of child age 2001 state a child means person under the age of 18 years old, and in relation to criminal proceedings means a person who has attained the age of criminal responsibility as prescribed in Section 82 of the Penal Code. My point is, how will the child realize or change themselves on their mistake when he or she is not the one to face the punishment? As we all know, Sorry,
POI,
I
please.
have enough of your POI. As we all know, sorry, I have enough of your POI. As we all know, we can send and put them to the juvenile. According to Malaysian laws and policies, children who are formally charged after they turn 18. If a child commits an offense while under 18 but turned 18 often before being formally charged, then the trial is heard by the regular adult criminal courts. The court may choose to apply the special sentencing provisions available for children under Child Act or impose an adult term of imprisonment. In Malaysia, we have a lot of juvenile school. I can give here two examples for you, such as Henry Gurney School, Telok Mas in Malacca, which accept boys and girls, and Henry Gurney School, Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, which only accept girls. At the age of 13 and above, they already mature and can think properly by themselves, without their parents to control or brainwash them, to decide and choose the right way to behave and think which is wrong and right. Children is always curious about something. After they know and found out about the consequences, they will stop and learn from it. That's why we should punish them and not the parents. They will feel miserable for their action. They surely can behave without fail and without the parents to repeat and blame them again and again after that. So why do the parents who not commit the crime need to take responsibility? The second point that I will rebut for today's motions is about the right way to behave and civic awareness. First, I refuse to accept this from the government team. It is impossible the parents do not correcting or showing their child the right way to behave in life. All parents want the good from their child. How about the parents that need to work extra hours just to make ends meet and the better future for their child? They could balance their works and take care of their child. As you know, sometimes the child is be out of control. They just make their own decision without asking their parents' consent and totally being aggressive when the parents control them. Now, I would like to reinforce the points that given by the first speaker and the second speakers of my team. My first speaker stated about responsibility. Responsibility means the state or fact of having duty to deal with something or having control over someone. The child needs to be responsible of their own action. A child behavior need to be shown on
POI, please.
I have enough of POI, thank you. In school, teenagers and children are often affected by the peer pressure. Other than that, the media is another influencer that powerful influencer. If exposure influences was instigated them to make the wrong decision and lead the wrong path. We can see it is not the parents to be blamed because it's not the parents who teach them to be like that. My second speaker stated about irrelevance and consequences of shifting blame. Children be responsible and thinking that there's someone to blame when they make mistake. Parents should not be held liable for all the child action. Some parents are working hard to provide their children with a good future and a good education. My second speaker also presented her third argument, which is consequences of shifting blame. The children need to take responsibility for their action and not their parents. It is children should learn from their mistake and be independent for a better future. In conclusion, should we agree with the government team? Of course, no for me. The government team need because they need to realize and learn from their mistake. With our agreement has been delivered, The opposition team strongly disagree with that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Your opposition wait for the speech. The speaker spot for 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've ended the first part of the debate. Now we will proceed with the reply speeches for both benches. Okay, both sides are given 3 minutes to prepare for the reply speeches. The time for preparation starts now.
I, the second speaker for the government team, stand firm on our motion today that parents should be punished if their child makes a mistake. I will be solely responsible for the statement. Parents are child's first teachers. They are responsible for shaping the child's behavior and cultivating positive values in them. My team managed to prove that parents are often the culprit through three main ideas that parents should educate their children when they are young, perfect with the idiom, strike while the iron is hot. That bad parenting is the main reason why children do delinquency and that the breakdown in family bonds results in behavioral delinquent behaviors amongst
Excuse me. Okay, the 3 minutes is supposed to be given for you to prepare. Not talking yet, huh? Not start talking yet. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 minutes has ended. Okay, now I shall invite the reply speaker from the opposition bench, okay, to deliver the speech.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I will begin my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. I, as second speaker of the opposition team, will be delivering the reply speech. Due to the limited time, I would like to state one main clash in today's debate, which is whether parents should be punished for their child's mistake. We, the opposition team, strongly disagree. We strongly believe that parents should not be punished for the child's mistake as it is unfair and detrimental to both sides. We, the opposition team, has tried to explain that by agreeing to today's motion, we are encouraging children to not be responsible and not learn from their mistakes. As stated by our first speaker, a child will never learn if they've never been responsible to overcome their own mistakes, resulting in children to not being able to improve themselves. We have also stated that by putting blame on parents, it is irrelevant as the parents have nothing to do with the choices and mistakes a child makes. A child should face their own mistakes to avoid a situation where parents are affected negatively and also to avoid a future of irresponsible adults. Because at the end of the day, children should realize their mistakes or mishaps to ensure that the child can become a responsible individual in the future. Lastly, we explained that by shifting blame will come consequences. Children won't be able to learn and will take advantage of their parents if they make a mistake. This is exactly what we want to avoid. If you keep blaming the parents in a situation that the child is in boarding school, can we keep shifting the blame on the parents? They're not even there, which clearly proves that anything a child does is not the parents' fault. Another situation is where parents are already good role models to their children, but their child failed to act or failed to follow in their footsteps and eventually became black sheep of the family. Is it fair to blame the parents for their bad parenting, even though they are actually good parents, just because of that one child? Even if they have given their best to be a good example to them? No, it is not as obvious as this answer is. This common situation clearly shows that children have their own tendencies and choices that does not involve parents, thus deeming it unfair for the parents to be punished. Blaming parents will not help with shaping a child's behavior. Now, the government team tried to explain that it is the parents' responsibility to educate the child. It is their responsibility for the child's mistake, saying that it's the parents' fault for not providing care, thus resulting the child to make a mistake. But they failed to answer the PRI that was given, which states, parents, as I said in this previous situation, parents provided care, but their child is still rebellious. How do we answer that? That means that it has nothing to do with the parents. Another thing is they said about bad parenting. They said that overly punishing will lead to bad parenting. But overly punishing is another story. That is abuse, not parenting, which makes it irrelevant to today's point. Now, how can they be so sure that the less time spent with the parents will lead to a child making a mistake? How about in a situation where the parents are always there with their child, but the child still misbehaves? How do we say that it's the parents' fault if a child makes a mistake? This clearly proves that all the statements are false. They also stated false facts, saying that children under the age of 10 will be granted full immunity, but it's proven wrong as Child Act 2001. This shows that they do not even know what they are talking about. With all of the explanations and points given, it is clear that we, the opposition team, has given valid and the motion parents should be punished for a child's mistake should fall. With that, I oppose.
Thank you. Okay, the speaker spot for 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay, now we would like to invite the reply speeches, the speaker from the government bench to deliver the reply speech.
I will start in 3, 2, 1. I, the second speaker of this government team, stand firm on our today motion that parents should be punished if the child makes a mistake. I will be solely responsible for the statement. Parents are child's first teachers. They are responsible for shaping the child's behavior and cultivating positive values in them. My team managed to prove that parents are often the culprit through streaming ideas that parents should educate their children when they are young, perfect with the idiom, strike while the iron is hot. That bad parenting is the main reason why children do delinquency, and that breakdown in family bonds results in behavior or delinquent behaviors amongst children. The opposition mentioned a few points about children do not realize the mistake, and moreover, the parents have taught their children a civic awareness. These points are weak and have been repeated by my team members. Also, we manage to provide ideas which correlate to why parents are most often the culprit and that they should penalize or punish whenever they commit a crime. Therefore, I urge members of the hall to accept today's motion and reject opposition's idea. Thank you.
Thank you for the reply speech. The speaker spoke for 1 minute and 24 seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the debate. Adjudicators, please in your scores to the technical officer before heading back to the main room. So for the moment, we'll just wait for them to come back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The results are in. The motion for today's debate. This House believes that parents should be punished if the child makes a mistake is rejected. Okay, therefore, the winning team is the opposition from SMP Baru. Okay, congratulations and well done to both teams. Before we head back to the main room, I would like to invite the chief adjudicator to deliver the adjudication feedback.
Why my face don't see? Good morning, hang on ya. I don't know what happened to the camera. What is this? Okay, never mind. I don't know if you can hear me. There's something wrong with the camera. I don't know what happened. But anyway, okay, so I will be giving the general comments for this debate. So congratulations, first of all, to the winning team and to the other team. Well, I hope you can do better in the next round. You are there's still room for improvement. So the general comments are, first of all, I would like to touch on the structural. Okay, the structure of the debates was from both sides. It was quite how to say, it was quite not that strong. Like it can be improved from that. Based on what I think, all of us just now, we think we might think that this is a very close debate because both sides didn't come up with a very strong stance, and the arguments given were very much repetitive from the beginning to the end of the debate. From SMP Baru just now, you gave us good examples and you provided us with lots of good proofs. Okay, but apart from that, the arguments and the answers to the rebuttals are pretty repetitive. And the next one is, I somehow think that